high number of threes, and I think for us going into the game, it wasn't necessarily that you're going to take away all the threes. What hurts you is when you start giving up that number of threes, but you give up offensive rebounds, fouls, and layups, transition stuff. And, we were good out west for the most part. The rebounding could have been a lot better if there was one area to be critical of. But we had none of those things that we needed to in the first quarter.
Luke is obviously so dynamic, but in the pick and roll coverage, in LA, Zubac's hurt you guys in the third quarter with that screen roll. Is there anything you can do to switch things up right now, or what?
Well, we tried to blitz a little bit and trap him. We did some switching and tried to go back and hit. We didn't really execute, in my opinion, well enough any of the coverages we were in. But I think part of the reason why Gafford and Lively had such huge numbers in the game was right there. Like when Vooch or Andre have got to be up to deal with high-level offensive players at the point of the screen. It's not so much like I think in the Clipper game, it was Zubac's lobs. We didn't give up a lot of lobs tonight. We gave up a lot of rolls to the basket and offensive rebounds. We've got to be more pulled in than we were, and I think at times as he's coming off and probing and doing what he does do, and he's got great vision. We talked about it before the game. We kind of were too worried about getting back out to that three-point line instead of saying, hey, we're going to take away the roll. There was a play, at the end of the second quarter where Julian pulled all the way in, the ball went up for a lob, he deflected, and we got a steal. We weren't there enough like that, and that was the biggest issue of, I think, why their bigs scored so much. It was offensive rebounds, and it was rolls of us being late.
Billy, I know rotations are tough, but it seems like this game was another example of Julian Phillips. It seems like more often than not when he's in there, he makes a positive contribution. And do you think he earned more of a spot in the rotation tonight or anything?
In terms of he's been in the rotation.
4 and 5 minutes the last two games.
Yeah, but some of that's just going to be matchups and how the game's going and stuff. I have confidence in Julian. I put him out there. I thought he did a good job while he was out there. I think the balance between him and Alex and Torrey is somewhat challenging, quite honestly, because they're all really good players. And Alex starts, and you're getting Torrey coming back off injury, so you're kind of trying to work him back into it, and that probably has impacted Julian some. But I do have confidence in him and feel like he's done a good job. I wouldn't necessarily base maybe one game on whether or not, he should or shouldn't play. Even if it was not a great game tonight, I wouldn't sit there and say he shouldn't get any minutes. But you try to get him out there as much as you can. The hard part for Julian, quite honestly, is in a game like this, sometimes you're using, when Alex has had to absorb so many of these high-level offensive players, and sometimes when you bring someone like Torrey in, maybe ahead of Julian, a lot of it is just the experience in the NBA of players that he's guarded, and Julian will get better at those things and will learn those things. He's very bright. He picks things up. He's a good worker. But a lot of times when they're staggering Kyrie and Luke, you're trying to utilize a guy like Torrey because you can't expect to match every minute, for Alex with those guys.